In this video, I'm going to show you the exact setup that you can use to track every single penny that you spend on ads so that you never have to wonder where your money is going again. Now, I've spent millions of dollars on ads and I've helped over 100 businesses dial in this kind of tracking. And to be honest, you would probably be shocked to find out how many businesses are running ads, but they don't know exactly how much money they're making from it. And that's scary, but to be honest, it's not most businesses' fault. Like most people just don't have the right system in place. And there's way too many agencies and freelancers out there that are trying to report on how much money the Facebook pixel says that they're making, and that's just not an effective way to do it. So if you'll follow exactly what I'm going to show you in this video, you're going to have a bulletproof tracking plan that tells you exactly how much money you're making from every single penny that you invest in ads. Before we jump into like the nitty-gritty of tools and all of that setup, let's actually just go over like what the important things of like the two systems that you need to have in order to make this work. Because it's really important to understand there is a distinction between the tracking that you need for the ad platforms and then like your internal business tracking. So like what you are going to use to make decisions and know that what you're doing is working. Too many businesses are just relying on the ad platform to try to make decisions on what they need to do to actually grow their business. And that is a terrible decision. So what we need to do is we need to have these two distinct systems set up. And by the way, like if you need help with all of this, check out the first link in the description below. This is exactly what I help businesses do every day. But let's go over this entire system here right now. So let's start with like the ads. So when we're talking about the ads, let's just say we're talking about Facebook, because that's where most people are spending most of their money anyways. That means we need to have the Facebook pixel set up. And again, I'm going to go through details and all of this in just a second, but at a high level, we need to have the Facebook pixel set up. So this is actually what tells Facebook what's happening in your funnel, what actions people are taking, and who's a conversion and who's a good lead and all of that stuff, so that Facebook can go out and optimize and find more people like that. So that means you need to have like the page view pixel on every single page. We use what is called Google Tag Manager to set all this up. That means you need to have standard events throughout the funnel to tell Facebook like, okay, these people are a lead. These people filled out an application. These people booked a call. These people bought from me. All of those are what are called standard events. And then also there's something called CAPI tracking, which this is something that has come about over the last couple of years. Like there's something like 50% of people or more, I think now have like either some kind of ad blocker or they're using like an iPhone that's already got privacy stuff set up. And so where the Facebook pixel is operating on like a JavaScript code that fires on the page, what we also need to have is like some kind of server-side tracking. Server-side tracking has been around forever, but we're just going back and re-implementing some of that stuff in order to have better data going to the ad platform so they know who's taking the events that they want and all of that stuff. So if we're doing this for Facebook, we've got this for Facebook. If we're doing also Google ads or TikTok ads, all of them will have their own version of this. So again, this is like the Facebook side. So this is everything, or the ad platform side. So this is everything the ad platform needs in order to know it's doing a good job. Now, the problem is, again, this isn't super accurate. It has tons of issues. And so what we also need to have is like our own internal tracking. So this is where I really love just setting up. We always just set up like UTM source tracking. So what this means is we use UTM codes on all of our ads, and we push that into the CRM. So in our CRM, we'll have like empty custom fields, and we will track the source, medium, campaign, term, campaign, content. And what we'll do is we'll use Facebook's dynamic variables inside of their UTM parameters in order to push the name of the campaign, the name of the ad, the name of the ad set that person came from, and we will store that with their contact record so that as we want to go through and pull reports, or as we want to go find out where these people came from, we can actually pull the real data and not what Facebook's saying. Because again, one of the things that you run into with pixel tracking is like Facebook will tell you, hey, you got 7 leads yesterday. What it won't tell you is that Mark watched the 3rd video ad that you rolled out last week, and he was in the broad targeting audience, and he was the best quality lead that you've gotten so far. And so we want to figure out what messaging resonated with him that hasn't resonated, so we can go out and get more marks coming into our funnel, right? So that's where we need this sort of thing. Now, if you're serious about spending money on ads, what you also need is some kind of third-party tracking. So this is basically like a Hyros. There are other platforms out there that work. Hyros is pretty pricey for most people, but again, I just think Hyros is kind of the best at this right now. So we set up Hyros for a lot of people. Again, you can use whatever third-party tracking tool that you want. What Hyros does is Hyros basically does this on crack, because not only do they track the UTM source, but they have their own pixel. And what they're doing is tracking individuals through your funnel. So again, if Mark clicks on your ad and then 6 months from now comes back, clicks on a different ad, and has been going through your email and your social media content and then purchases, you can see that entire user journey here in Hyros. And Hyros can figure out what is the first ad that they came through so that it can attribute that back to the original campaign that they purchased from. All of this stuff is super important for us to have as we're scaling up our campaigns. Now, just continue on this. Another thing that's really helpful for us to have, and this is getting a little more into the details, is Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is free, but what Google Analytics will do is give us a lot of the behavioral data that we want in order to understand how our funnel is performing. So this is where we can get details like what are the countries that people are coming from to our website? What other websites are people using to find our funnel? Are they mostly on desktop or on mobile? And how is that kind of stuff performing? That's really good. And then another one that I really like to use is called Microsoft Clarity. That one's free as well. We used to have to pay like hundreds of dollars for these tools. But now Microsoft Clarity just came out with a free tool, well, a couple of years ago, where now what you can do is you can have heat maps on all of your pages. So you can actually see like, okay, how far are people scrolling down the page? What buttons are they clicking on? Are they clicking on stuff that isn't clickable? So you can figure out like if there's some type of your page that looks like it should do something and it's not. You can actually watch session recordings of like people coming to the website and see how they're engaging and interacting with your funnel. These two are super helpful when it comes to like troubleshooting stuff and trying to figure out how to optimize our funnel, how to make it better, what should we focus on, all of that stuff. So when we have all this stuff set up, this is what gives us, the business owners and the marketers, the data that we need to go out and make better decisions. Now, again, this third-party tracking one, like using like a Hyros, I just think is essential these days. Like you've got to have some kind of third-party tracking tool. If you're just getting started and it's like week one and you don't want to spend the money that it costs to do a Hyros or something like that, this is something you can do from day one. Like you can use UTMs to push that data into your CRM, and then you can at least always go back and pull reports. I also do a lot of stuff in spreadsheets with this. So like I dump all this into spreadsheets, and then I can pull reports to figure out, okay, what campaigns are working best, what audiences are working best, what ad sets are working, like ads are working best, all of that sort of stuff. But the goal here is that we actually have something that is like reliable and it's just unbiased data on what's working. So again, the ad platforms are getting everything that they need, and then you as a business owner have everything you need to go out and make better decisions. So now let's dive into the details of all this, like how to actually set up your Facebook pixel. Again, the important thing with the Facebook pixel is we need to give Facebook let's assume that you're running Facebook ads. This is the same for Google ads or TikTok or whatever it is. But with the pixel, like let's say that you are running a call funnel and you've got all these different events. What you need to do is be able to tell Facebook, hey, how many leads am I getting? You know, because that's something that they want to know is like, hey, after someone, goes to the landing page and gets to the VSL, like presumably they are a lead. Or when did they fill out an application? So this is where we would send a standard event that's called like, submit application. Or when someone books a call, you could say like, hey, this person booked a call. We use a standard event called complete registration. You can even do stuff like, hey, when someone shows up, you could send another event, it's called like contact or something like that. But basically we can set up these little events throughout the funnel because this is what tells Facebook what's happening inside our funnel. And then when we run a campaign, we can optimize for this event. We can say, hey, Facebook, we want you to get people who are actually booking calls, which means we want people who are hitting this standard event of complete registrations. And so what you need to set up your Facebook pixel is just a little JavaScript that goes on the page, and then it shows up in this little pixel up here that fires every time someone hits the page. So you want the Facebook pixel on every single page, and then you want standard events on the most important events of your funnel. Now, where this CAPI comes into play is because, again, the privacy brokers and all of that stuff has just made it so that the pixel isn't as accurate as it used to be, or just isn't reliable as it used to be. So we use this little tool called stape.io. This is free. It's not free. It's $10 a month. It takes about 5 minutes to set up. And what this does is this just takes all of those events that are happening in the pixel, and it also tries to send them in a different way to Facebook. So Facebook just has the highest chance of being able to actually see what's going on in your funnel. So if you will use the Facebook pixel and this stape.io, that's getting Facebook all of the data that you need there. Now, the way that we set up the Facebook pixel is using a tool called Google Tag Manager. So this is just how we implement the Facebook pixel in the funnel. The reason we use Google Tag Manager, so before Google Tag Manager, if you've been doing marketing or funnels for any period of time, like there's a ton of scripts and tracking pixels and all of this stuff that you need to have on your website. Between Facebook, between Google ads, between TikTok ads, if you're running different ads, your CRM might have one. Maybe your checkout tool has one. Like there's a bunch of these different ones. Also, some of these only need to go on certain pages. So like a lot of these go on every single page, but some of these just go on your thank you page, or some of these just go on your call booking page, or whatever it is. That used to be pretty hard to set up, and you would need a developer to like help you actually get all this stuff done. Now, what makes it really nice about Google Tag Manager is you just put the Google Tag Manager script on your website one time on every single page. And then you can manage all of this right through Google Tag Manager. So you go into the Google Tag Manager interface, and it's pretty easy once you learn how to use it to set up a thing that says like, hey, Google Tag Manager, when someone becomes a lead in my business, I want you to fire the Facebook, lead tracking thing. Or when someone fills out my application, I want you to fire the submit application. So you can just use Google Tag Manager to send this data back to Facebook. Between those tools, so using Google Tag Manager to set up your Facebook pixel, or any other pixel that you're running ads through, and then using Stape.io to do the conversion API stuff, then you have everything you need from the ad platform side. Now, going into the tracking that we need for us, this is where, again, with any platform, there's a different way to set this up. I'm just using Facebook ads as the example. But so like with Facebook ads, there's a way to add what are called URL parameters to your ads. And this is just a dynamic thing. So you just use the same one for all of them. This will just pull the ad set name, the ad name, and the campaign name into the URL. And then you can store that in your CRM. You can store that in a spreadsheet using something like Zapier, anything like that. If you're using Hyros is based off of these as well. So like all you need to do is add this one little UTM URL parameter script into your ad campaigns. And then from there, you can do all kinds of stuff with that data. So again, what we like to do is we like to take those basically like UTM source parameters that tell us where these people came from, and we store them in the CRM. You can use them in spreadsheets for like reporting if you need to figure out what's going on. You can push them to third-party tracking. And what this does is tell you, like, every time you get a new lead, you can go back and see what is the original ad that they came from? What is the original campaign that they came from? What is the original ad set or targeting that they came from? And so this is what gives us that much clearer picture of like what's actually going on. Now, when it comes to the third-party tracking, I think that Hyros is just the best of this right now. So again, it's a little pricier than a lot of people, are used to spending on third-party tracking tools. I get it. But like if you're spending more than $10K a month on ads, if you're serious, if this is like a serious acquisition channel for you, I think you definitely just need like some kind of third-party tracking. Having tested a bunch of these, like we've used Segmetrics. We still use Segmetrics for some clients. We used to use Wicked Reports. Now we use Hyros. I bounced around between them. The thing that I like about Hyros the most is I think Hyros is just the one that's really built for paid advertisers. Segmetrics does some great stuff. If you do organic and all this other stuff, they have like a ton of in-depth reporting. Honestly, I just find that like we don't use most of it. And a couple of the features that Hyros has, like being able to manually attach different emails to each other. Like if someone opts in with one email and doesn't buy and buys with a different email, and the pixel doesn't for some reason track that, like connect those two. Hyros, we can just manually fix that. Segmetrics, we can't. And so that's why I really just like using Hyros. The other tools that I mentioned, so we've got Google Analytics, just setting up Google Analytics on your website, and this is going to give you a bunch of really great insights that you can always go back to later if you need it for anything. And then Microsoft Clarity, again, this is the one that gives us like the actual click tracking and heat map tracking on our funnels. So again, if we ever need to go back and troubleshoot things, we want to figure out what's going on with our VSL page, if we add some copy to it, we want to see if people are reading it or not, all of that stuff we can find through this. So just kind of a quick recap, like what we talked about here is so far, whatever ad platform we're using, Facebook as an example, we've got to have their pixel set up, and we want to have that on every single page. Plus, we need to have a way to tell it what are the important events that are happening throughout our funnel, whether that's someone becoming a lead, filling out an application, booking a call, buying from us, whatever that is. We pretty much, all of them have some kind of conversion API tracking that needs to be set up along with that. And we set all of this up using Google Tag Manager, and then we use that tool Stape.io to do the CAPI tracking. So if you're running Facebook ads, you would need all this for Facebook ads. If you're running Google ads, you need all this for Google ads. If you're running Facebook and Google, you need it for, all of the above. Now, on the other side, for our business, what we want to do is we want to figure out where people are coming from, and we want to store that somewhere. Usually in our CRM, could be a spreadsheet, Zapier, something like that. But we need to figure out where they're coming from. That's just having that little UTM URL parameters on all of our ads and then storing that somewhere. Once we're serious about running ads, we've got some kind of third-party tracking like Hyros set up. And then we've got Google Analytics and Microsoft Clarity to give us some of that behavioral data to figure out how people are engaging with our funnel. And as marketers, we can always go back and use that later. So With that, let me show you how I actually bring all of this together into one daily dashboard, because this is the thing that I look at every single morning. So if you're new to this channel, you haven't ever seen any of the stuff that I do before, know that like I am a spreadsheet geek. I like just, I love spreadsheets. I spend a lot of time in them. But at the end of the day, like what we need to have, I like to have some simple way that I can just log in and figure out what's going on across all of my platforms. And I like to do this outside of the platform. So I don't like logging into Facebook to tell me what's going on. If you have like a Hyros or something set up, you could log in and do something. You could set up this exact report with them. I just like logging in and seeing what's going on for like the entire business and all of the marketing that we're running, because this includes all of our different ad platforms. This includes our retargeting. This includes our email. This includes everything that's going on. And I can really quickly with this little spreadsheet see like, okay, how did we do yesterday? So for me, this usually it just says like, how many calls did we book yesterday with the sales team? And then I can also see trending on a week-to-week basis. How is our revenue doing? How are our sales? How many calls are we getting booked? Applications? How much money are we spending? How many ads? What our ad stats look like? All of that stuff. Over here, because there's not any data, you can't see it, but like as this gets filled out, this gives me like a little trend so I can see visually how things are going. And this is all automated. So like, I don't have to fill this out. I just log in the morning and in a couple of seconds, I can understand the health of our business and what's going on. I also have this broken down on a daily basis. So like this is, again, if I want to jump in and see like, okay, how did we do yesterday? I can jump in here and look at how many calls we got booked yesterday, how many applications, how are things going on a day-to-day basis, which is again, just super helpful for me as a marketer, as a business owner to understand what's going on. I just want to know like, what are our day-to-day bases? What are our day-to-day stats? But I honestly don't want to make decisions on day-to-day stats because sometimes, you can just have a bad day and that's fine. Usually we want to look at trends. And so that's why I much rather prefer to end up looking at this kind of dashboard that I build so I can see what trends are going on. And what this is going to do is give me just a lot of confidence in like knowing what kind of decisions I'm making. And I don't have to start guessing about what's going on. I can just very quickly see what are bottlenecks that are coming up, what are trends that are happening here based on our cost per call this week versus last week and all of that stuff. And then I can go jump into all the different platforms and start making decisions on things. By the way, actually, so like if you actually want to just set up this little spreadsheet for yourself, just drop a comment down below that says, help me track my ads. And what I'll do is I'll actually just send you over this spreadsheet and a quick little video showing you how you can set this up and automate all of this. So it's just complete every single day. You just log in, look at your numbers, and you know what to do next. So that's it. That's like our entire tracking system. And again, we talked about like why it's really important to have like your pixel and everything set up for the ad platform, but then like what is the tracking that you need to set up on your end so that you know what's going on in your business and you can make better decisions. And then you have those kind of platforms like Microsoft Clarity, Google Analytics to be able to go and like deep dive and figure out what's going on in your funnel if something's not working. So at the end of the day, like marketing and business is just like a numbers game. There's just a lot of math involved. So you need to know what these numbers are. Setting up the pixels and all of that gives the platforms what they need, but then setting all this other stuff up gives what you need. So that's the end of this video. If you want some help with all of this, just check out the first link down in the description below on like how I actually work together one-on-one with people to get all of this stuff set up. Otherwise, I've got a ton of other videos on this channel talking about all this kinds of stuff. So if you want to check those out, I probably got some videos popping up on my face over here and would love for you to check them out. Other than that, I hope you have a great day out there and hope to catch you in another video soon.